Greetings, dear people of God at Trinity and beloved friends from afar. Thank you for joining me for this week's reflection. I offer this reflection from Stinson Beach, a blessed place of retreat and return and reunion. I know it's the season of Lent when our alleluias are buried and our attention turns inward to till our souls. I know that the world is on fire with Russia's ongoing and intensifying war on Ukraine, with cataclysmic climate change, and with a pandemic whose emotional effect on our children has created its own pandemic of malaise and apathy and even violence. But still, spring appears. A friend writes from Nashville, "Our first spring is here with 70-degree weather, the first trees in bloom, and that joy that bursts forth from every cell at the return of light. What a gift the light is." In her New York Times opinion piece, Margaret Rankle wrote recently, "We don't deserve a March like this. We've tortured the earth so thoroughly, and for so long we deserve only the hungry lions of March. But we're having the exquisite sort of March anyway. If you tell me I don't deserve this joy, you're telling me nothing I don't already know. The world is on fire. But I am in love with the mild light of springtime, even so. I'm in love with the shivering joy of springtime and all the beguiling creatures of springtime. And I refuse to quell this joy. It is possible to understand what invasive species are doing to the woods and still feel the leaping heart of joy in greenness. It's entirely possible to understand what human beings are doing to one another in this moment of dread and grief and terrible struggle, and still exult in birdsong and tiny blooming flowers peeking out from the dead leaves of autumn. In this troubled world, it would be a crime to snuff out any flicker of happiness that somehow leaps into life. And I would add here, it would be a crime to feel guilty about any flicker of happiness or adventure that has leapt into your life in the face of another's struggling or suffering, including my own. Enjoy it, and we can share it. For we are creatures built for joy. At the very saddest funerals, we can hear a funny story about our lost beloved. God help us, we laugh. This is who we are, the very best of who we are. The world is burning, and there's no time to put down the water buckets. But for just an hour, put down the water buckets anyway. Take your cue from the blue birds who have no faith in the future, but who build the future, nevertheless, leaf by leaf and straw by straw, shaping them and turning them into a sheltering roundness perfectly fitted to the contours of the future they are making. I sat here for a reason. Do you see the nest behind me and the twigs that write out joy? My friend enclosed a poem and a collage created by an 8-year-old. It spoke to her and it speaks to me, for I too have climbed trees and prayed. I too have prayed, swaying in the breeze like a dandelion. Have you? As I was sitting in a tree, I thought about prayer. I thought about how the dandelions pray by swaying in the breeze. I thought about how a tree prays by growing flowers in the spring. I thought about how sitting in this tree is a prayer too. Marlo Dean Foster, 8 years old. Turn your face to the sky. Walk the labyrinth. In fact, starting next Wednesday, Trinity will open her chapel from 7 to 9 every morning, Wednesday morning, 7 to 9 a.m., for quiet and for walking the labyrinth for peace. Put it on your calendars. If you can't come every Wednesday, that's all right, but know that it is there and it's a time for walking, for peace, for watching the light streaming through the chapel windows, for watching the light flickering in the candle in the middle of the labyrinth, which is the light that flames up in each of our hearts. Listen to the world bursting with spring. Listen to your heart bursting with love for all God's creatures. Listen to possibility. The world reminds us that this is what the world does best, and we can be a part of it. New life, rebirth, the greenness that rises out of ashes. And then may we become the spring. May we bring new life and rebirth. May we be the greenness that rises out of the ashes. The strollers left by Polish mothers at the border for Ukrainian mothers escaping the fires. The Ukrainian mother who took the 2 children of a stranger across the border to safety. The leader who plants himself in the midst of his battered people and proclaims, "I need ammo, not a ride." Green shoots of love, of hope, of joy. Amen.